In February last year, the MP Neil Coyle was suspended from the Labour Party for racially abusing a British-Chinese journalist and, in a separate incident, engaging in foul-mouthed and drunken abuse towards a junior parliamentary staffer employed by another MP. He was drinking heavily at the time and, after an investigation by the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner, was banned from the House of Commons for 5 days. He's since been readmitted to the Labour Party and has now gone 500 days sober. I caught up with him earlier in the week. Well, Neil, lovely to speak to you today. Look, let's just grasp the nettle, because obviously you were suspended in March. There was this incident in a parliamentary bar. A probe found that you'd made racist comments towards a journalist, and you engaged in foul-mouthed and drunken abuse of a parliamentary assistant to another MP. What have you got to say to that journalist, Henry Dyer, and indeed the parliamentary assistant?
Well, I say sorry again. Drink had got the better of me at that point. I'm hugely sorry for being in that situation, being in that mess. I make no attempt to excuse. I just say I'm hugely sorry, and sorry to a much wider audience. I let down the standards we rightly expect of members of Parliament. My constituents deserve better. My family deserve better, frankly. So I'm ashamed of the situation I was in with the level of drink, the dependency I had at that point.
Yeah.
I'm pleased that through the complaint, through the action they took, I was able to get the support I needed to stop drinking altogether.
Did that kind of prove to be a catalyst for you personally? Tell me, how much were you drinking at that point? How drunk were you on that particular night?
So the night with Henry Dyer, I think I'd had a dozen pints.
A dozen?
A dozen, yeah.
Was that typical?
Certainly, yeah, at that level. It was probably about 200, it was over 200 units a week. It was to the point that the medical recommendation was not to stop cold turkey, because it would have done more damage to my body to have stopped full stop than to reduce over time and then stop altogether. As I say, it's shocking, and I knew I wasn't in control of the drinking, and this was a catalyst for seeking help. I should say that when I initially sought help, I was declined support. It was a big letdown, because it took a lot to make that call.
Who did you ask for help, and how?
So I went through the parliamentary system, and they said because of the violence and what I now know are called adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, they said I needed to deal with that before they could support me to stop drinking. And it was only because the Speaker and the whips, the Labour whips, intervened and asked questions about that they called back and said, look, we're sorry, you should be getting help. And they then stepped in, and I'm really grateful, because it's through the professional support, medication, seeing a doctor, as well as additional support, and attending Alcoholics Anonymous. I still go. All of that has helped me reach the point I'm at now, which is 500 days having not had a drink.
And how do you feel 500 days into this?
It's amazing, and I haven't been this long without alcohol since before I was a teenager. That's the sad truth in the situation. I'm really pleased to have made it now to 500 days. I've lost weight. I've saved money. I get the best sleep of my adult life. I feel a lot better. I'm much better able to deal with things. It wasn't the crutch I thought it was in terms of dealing with stress and other nonsense. And I'm rebuilding relationships with family, friends, and beyond. So I feel a huge amount better.
Do you class yourself as an alcoholic? Once an alcoholic, always one.
I'm afraid there are some of us who one drink is never going to be one drink.
Yes,
with the best will in the world.
Too many and never enough.
Exactly. It's the start of. I'm afraid I'm just one of those people that if I stop for one pint, it'll turn into 10, and that's why there's no point me saying I'll have 3 nights off, or I'll set a cap on limit, all the rest of it. It's all nonsense. For me, it has to be no alcohol.
And when you talk about those childhood experiences, do you think they have informed how you were drinking and how you became a problem drinker?
It's part of it. I mean, it's hard to untangle all of it, frankly, and it's all. If I'm, it's all a bit new.
Yes.
I'm not the kind of person, and I go into schools in the constituency, I go into schools in Birmingham and say, especially to young men, you've got to speak out, you've got to talk when you're not feeling well, you're not feeling right. You look at the suicide rate it's the biggest killer of young men, suicide, and it's because we don't talk, because we're unable, and there needs to be much more of a focus on supporting, in particular, young men to talk about difficult issues. For me, it was mum's catastrophic mental health, the change from her being mum to being someone who could not recognise us and didn't know what day it was, frankly. But also it was the violence that then came into our lives one way or another through different relationships Dad had. All of that definitely has an effect. I can't deny that. But equally, my family are big drinkers, and I think my nan on Dad's side was an alcoholic. I think there are others in the family who definitely need to at least try to cut down, if not outright stop. So it's a mixture, I think. I don't think it's one single issue.
Obviously, this happened in a parliamentary bar. Do you think Westminster's got a booze problem? You're saying you were drinking 12 pints a night. You're an MP. People watching this will be thinking, goodness me, that's excessive. It's surprising for somebody in your position of authority.
And there were others drinking more than me, and they're still doing it. And I've supported other colleagues to reduce or stop since doing it myself.
Have people approached you since this happened?
Yeah. And when I've spoken out about this, for me, it's in part it's personal insurance. This is about me saying, I know I messed up. I'm really sorry, not just to the individuals, but I'm really sorry because I knew I wasn't in control, but I was really struggling to get back in control, and reaching out was a really important step, and I'm glad I'm through that. But there are others who definitely need to be supported in a similar way, or in a way to stop. Some of it is about one really simple thing I recommend to anyone is there's a Drink Aware app where you can just be honest with yourself, record the units every week, because that way you'll get a really true picture of where you're at on the spectrum and whether you might want to take steps to reduce, even if not stop.
Now, Momentum, unsurprisingly, because you were a fierce critic of Jeremy Corbyn, have said that you shouldn't be able to stand at the next general election as a Labour candidate.
Yeah, they said that last time.
Okay.
And the time before.
There's an argument that what happened in that bar, racist comments, foul-mouthed and drunken abuse trumps whatever Corbyn and indeed Diane Abbott have done, and they're not allowed to sit as Labour candidates.
Well, Diane's case is still going through the system. Let's see where that goes. The difference between me and Jeremy Corbyn is I've said sorry, and I mean it. He has never apologised. His comments about the politicisation and weaponisation of anti-Semitism is still up. So, he cannot make any serious or genuine claim that he's been apologetic. It's just garbage. And yes, Momentum will, of course, and those on the hard left will, of course, attack me with this. They attacked me for swearing when they tried to deselect me last time. I don't doubt they'll use it again. And I go to members here and I just say, look at my track record. Look what, from day one as MP for this constituency, my outreach surgeries in the mosques, my work on the most difficult estates, that's where I go. That's where I place my effort in this constituency. And look at the people I brought forward in the local party, including the only Muslim hijab wearing councillor in Southwark is someone I got to join the Labour Party. I knocked her door, signed her up, and she's now Deputy Mayor of the Borough of Southwark. So I'm proud of my track record here, and I hope that if anyone's serious about who represents this community, they look at what my wider contribution has been.
And on drinking, I know the mantra of AA is one step at a time. I mean, how do you view the future? You're hoping, I'm sure, to never drink again, to continue with this, because it's been life-changing. It
has been life-changing, and as I say, I feel so much better now. I wouldn't want to go back to drinking. It's for my health, my relationship with my daughter and my family, but also for my job. And I said to the whips, make a condition of giving the whip back that I carry on not drinking, because that's best for the Labour Party and it's also best for me, and it's the whips doing their pastoral job, if you like. So that is what I will be doing.
Neil Coyle, thank you very much for being so candid in this interview. Lovely to speak to you.
Thank you.